Hello, today is Wednesday, March 11th, 2015. This is my first technology update video blog. I've decided to use this blog as a way to continue to communicate with all of you regarding our latest issues, areas that we're discussing, and really as a way for you to gain a further understanding of the things that are happening in the district regarding technology. The first item I'd like to address today has to be the use of iPads and the Air server. We do have a building that utilizes an Air server, which is a product that allows our iPads to become interactive with the projector. And a few teachers in the fall wanted to pilot this software. Well, what we found, there's some inherent security risks with the software. Essentially, the software for the Air server is creating an IP storm onto our network. And in order to rectify the situation, we would have to have a lot of man hours and time and effort to resolve the issue. We do believe that there's a better solution out there. So for the future, we are putting the Air server on hold as we look for another piece of software that allows us to actively engage the iPad with the projectors. In addition, I know some folks are wondering about the future of iPads and Chromebooks, and really what I want you all to know is that conversation will be happening later on with regards to technology. The reality is we have many other issues to focus on in the district versus talking about the type of technology now. The type of technology should not be just driving the decisions that we make in the direction that we're going. It really should be a byproduct of what our needs are and what we want our future to be. In addition, we've had numerous issues over the past few months with the Wi-Fi. I know recently we've had some significant upgrades and tweaking of the Wi-Fi in each of our buildings, and we do believe that we have a fairly stable environment with regard to the Wi-Fi currently, as evidenced by the lack of tickets for Wi-Fi. So I would encourage all of you, today is again March 11th, that if you are having any issues with the Wi-Fi in your building, please reach out to your building administrator, submit a ticket so we can resolve those issues as soon as possible. In the future, we recognize the need for us to increase our bandwidth. Basically, it's the connectivity of the internet. And I personally contacted the IU several weeks ago and we started talking about our bandwidth. Right now, if you can visualize this, we have a pipe that comes into the district that allows us to go to 100 megabytes per second of information coming in. We currently subscribe to 50 megabits per second. And so we do have room for expansion. And in the conversation, the IU was able to pull metrics for us. And basically they said the most we've ever used at one time was 43 megs. And again, we have up to 50. But more times than not, we hover at about the 30 to 35. However, in preparing for the future and really in an effort to enhance the performance of all machines within the district, we have doubled our bandwidth capabilities for next school year up to 100 megabits per second. So we are excited about that change, and we're hoping that it leads to an increase in our performance across the district. The next issue I'd like to talk about is Appalachia and the ticketing system. I know there are some folks out there who feel like that the ticketing system has provided an efficient means to address issues, and there are certainly those of you out there who disagree and think that they don't. The reality is we need to come up with a way for all of us to organize how we're going to resolve things versus using email, word of mouth, because even the best organized plans, when it's not written down and actually date stamped, can certainly go awry. And that's actually what's happened prior to our current system. So it is something that we're going to continue with. We are looking to enhance it a little bit, getting more details, creating different categories. But for now, it's a really important piece for us that actually helps us have some metrics to things. And I'll give you some examples. Since September 14th, when Appalachia has taken over our Vantage services, we have closed 1,438 tickets. Most recently, during the month of January, we closed 179 tickets, and during the month of February, we've closed 274 tickets. This is the first time that we have had less than 100 tickets in the system since they started. Now, I know there's some of you out there who say, yeah, but my issue wasn't resolved, but my ticket was closed. If that has happened, please communicate back, because there are times we're not perfect. and I don't think anybody would claim to be perfect, that happens. We do care deeply about the customer service. We want to make sure that problems are addressed. And if the ticket has been closed out and you feel the problem has not been resolved, please reach out, resubmit a ticket, let your building administrator know so that we can resolve the issue. Because one of the other pieces I wanted to address was the number of people here to support. In our current contract for support, we were assured that we would have the same level of support that we had in the past. We had one director of technology and a tech support. I can tell you that since Appalachia has taken over in September, we've had no less than 3 people here full-time every day. We've hit a high of 7 or 8 people, and for a while we were always hovering about 5 people. And I feel very good about the level of support that's been provided in an effort to meet our needs. I do recognize that there are some day-to-day type of issues that we would like to have resolved quicker. Appalachia realizes that, we realize that, and it's certainly on our mind. And so we're going to be talking about how can we put more boots on the ground out in the buildings to take care of some issues that are more immediate without having to do a ticketing system. But guys, that takes time for us to put together, and it's actually going to take money to be able to address that. I do want you to know that we are aware. We will come up with a plan of something that works, again, in an effort to make things a little bit more efficient and effective. Another area that I'd like to talk about are some of our current tickets. Right now, we have a fair number of tickets in a few categories. MMS, folks who forget their username and/or passwords, printer cartridges, and just some everyday software kind of stuff. So let me talk about MMS. Right now, we're working with MMS to develop rights for our administrators that would provide them the opportunity to reset your username and passwords. When this is done, you will not have to submit a ticket to reset your username and password. You have to reach out to your administrator, and in turn, they can reset your username and password. We think this is a more efficient way to do things, and we're working on that solution, and we'll be rolling out as quickly as possible. The next big topic that's out there that we see in the ticketing system are printers. I didn't realize that we had folks that were submitting work order tickets to replace printer cartridges and toner and those type of things. Those are items and things that can be done within a building, and a ticket does not need to be submitted. Our office staff are certainly capable of doing that. I change my own printer cartridge. It's not very difficult, and I do think that that's something that we can work around and get that resolved locally within each building without having to submit a ticket. So your administrators will be sharing more about that in the near future. That will resolve a fair number of issues. I also want people to know, we said this a few years ago, that we will not support personal printers in the district, and I think there's a few reasons why that it will make sense. Is one, there's liability. We certainly don't want to be working on things that the district doesn't own. If something happens to them, we'd be liable to replace those. Two, using personal printers, take ink, cartridges, paper, and again, that's not something that we're willing to support at this time. We will support district printers. I also know that we're in a situation where we will need to replace some of those printers. It's noted, it's a topic of conversation, and it is going to be a discussion in the near future about our plan for the printers. Lastly, as most of you know, we're looking at a major refresh of some of our PCs because of the whole Windows XP issue. Right now, all of the computers have been ordered. They're actually in, and we've been working hard in each building, and I think many of you have been contacted about creating an image. And we've identified in each building what are the key pieces of software that need to be incorporated into that image that will show up essentially on every computer that we're replacing. We've identified the image, and we have in stock here on campus 10 computers right now. And our plan is to put that test image for each building onto the test computers. We hope to deploy them either Monday or Tuesday next week, and allow a little bit of time for those machines to kind of go through a process of having people work on them to make sure that they are able to function and do everything that we want them to be able to do. The reason we took this approach is we'd rather image 10 computers than 189 computers that we have ready to deploy to make, and we certainly didn't want to do all the work for 189 computers if there was going to be a flaw, if we were missing something. So that's the reason we wanted to push the 10 computers out here in the near future, so stay tuned for that. I do hope all of you have taken the time to watch this video through, and as I shared with some folks, at any time if you have a question about technology, please ask your building administrators first. I do my best to communicate with them to let them know the direction that we're heading. In fact, every Monday since September, I have a meeting in the morning with folks from Appalachia to talk about what's happened in the past, current issues, and what we'd like to do. Our building principals are now involved in those meetings, and so there's been an update every single Monday about what's taking place within the district. So I encourage you to reach out to your administrators. If you have a question about technology, ask. If they don't know the answer, they'll either ask me or point you in my direction. The reality is here, guys, is that there's nothing to hide. We all want the same thing, and that is to be able to be productive in what we're doing. We want to make sure that we're enhancing and engaging our instruction using technology that really engages students in instruction, and we'll continue to strive to accomplish that. But to do that, it takes a lot of hard work, difficult decisions, and we're working through that now. But really, at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it once we have a stable environment and we have the technology in place that we so desire. So thank you again for taking the time to watch this technology update.